Good evening, everyone. My name is Meredith Brown. I am the consulting curator of contemporary art here at the Heckscher. On behalf of Heather Arnay, our CEO, and the rest of the staff, I'd like to welcome you to what is sure to be a wonderful evening of conversation with the great Robert Graham Carter. This program is generously co-hosted with our colleagues from the Romare Bearden Foundation as part of their Cinque Artist series, which supports artists at all stages of their careers and offers opportunities for lively conversation and personal connection. Tonight, we will be hearing from this legendary man right here, whose work shines in our current exhibition, Robert Graham Carter, Art of Reflection. Best known for his mixed media works, including commanding drawings, sculptural high-relief painting, and whimsical works on wood, Carter has, over his 6-decade career, made art that speaks to broad social issues with a specificity derived from his lived experience. Like Romare Bearden, Mr. Carter creates work inspired by his own memories of African-American cultural history. The resulting figurative compositions balance personal and universal truths about the human condition. The Heckscher is fortunate to have works by both artists in our permanent collection. Today, you will see right here, Carter's Mama Taught Me Piano and So Much More, which is in the Heckscher's collection. And next year, now is where I plug future exhibitions. Next year, beginning in September 2026, we are excited to show Bearden's Ritual Bayou collage series in our exhibition Eclipse of the Sun Now, which will champion the power of socially engaged art made over the past 100 years. So mark your calendar, that's September 2026. And keep your calendars out, because I hope you will return to the Heckscher later this year to see all of me with all of you, LGBTQ plus art out of the collection, which opens on June 7th and runs through the summer and explores our permanent collection through the lens of LGBTQ plus identities and histories. Then come back this September, 2025, for Emma Stebbins' Carving Out History. This groundbreaking exhibition is the first to recognize Stebbins as one of the most significant American sculptors of the 19th century. You likely know her work. Her most famous sculpture is Angel of the Waters, Bethesda Fountain. But you may not know much about the scope of her life and career, as it has been almost entirely erased, and we're excited to bring her back into the historical record. So that's this exhibition, June for LGBTQ+, September for Emma Stebbins, and the following September for the Romare Bearden in the social art show. Okay, that's my spiel. And now I am delighted to introduce Deirdre Harris-Kelly, co-director of the Romare Bearden Foundation, for an introduction to this evening's program. Hand over the mic.
Thank you. And a big thank you to the Heckscher for having us, and especially to Joy and Caitlin for arranging all of this for us. We really appreciate it. Well, the Cinque Gallery program, which is what we are producing this evening, another version of it, is a program that takes its name, sorry about that, takes its name from the Cinque Gallery that was started in 1969 by Romare Bearden, Norman Lewis, and Ernest Crichlow, 3 artists who were dedicated to helping younger artists display their work, also curators to organize shows, and they had a real gallery space that went all the way, succeeded them, and it went all the way into 2006. So for some 30 years, they exhibited work, and artists were able to get all of the profits. It was a nonprofit gallery, so artists would pitch in and hang up work, and they had network and community. And so when the Romare Bearden Foundation took over that program, we took it over as a program that could continue to support mid-career artists who weren't getting a lot of information, a lot of shine and, attention from galleries, which is what Cinque was started for. So we're in 2020, we kind of went underground like everybody, and we were producing these programs online. And that was a blessing because we were able to reach many more people with these programs and giving the platform for artists to talk about their work to a much wider audience. But even so, it's very nice to be in person and to have a live audience again. So on behalf of my co-director, Joanne Bryant-Reed, put your hand up, and our board of directors, I want to thank you and welcome you to this program. I also just want to say that these programs are all being recorded, and you can see many of the pre-recorded ones on our website. And it's a program that we hold dear, that we feel like we are doing the legacy of Bearden great that way by continuing to support artists. We also have programs where we pay artists. We also give honorariums always, but we pay artists, and we've done professional development with them, and we've given them community in that way. So thank you and welcome to this program. And okay, I'm also introducing our esteemed interviewer, Eric Shiner. So Eric Shiner Eric Shiner is the president of the Powerhouse Arts organization, which I guess is not an organization. It's like Powerhouse Arts. It's a humongous, beautiful facility, kind of like a factory for art making. So you have fabricators and artists coming and working together and having community and using the facility and creating wonderful things. And it's become very important. It's in Gowanus, Brooklyn. So you need to come out and visit them. But this is something that has become dear to artists in the Brooklyn and New York, rest of the New York area, but really the Brooklyn people get to use it. But Eric has actually been in the arts for many decades. He's making a face. Many decades. He's played 3 decades. He's played important roles in the art world. He served as director of the Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh from 2010 to 2016, and was a curator there as of 2008, right. He's curated dozens of contemporary art exhibitions in cities around the world. He was also senior vice president at Sotheby's until 2018, and there he worked in private sales. He holds 2 art history master's degrees from Osaka University and Yale. I want to thank Eric. Eric is now a member of our board of directors, and so we don't make all our board of directors do this kind of work, but we're very, very happy that he agreed to join in the program this evening. So thank you all for coming. All right.
Deidre, thank you for that most kind introduction. And it is hard to believe when you hear that you've been doing something for 30 years. It's a long time. You've been doing things for 60 years, and the things you've been doing surround us with their power and their beauty and their joy and their message. And I hope we can all first bask in the glory of these incredible artworks that Mr. Carter has, spent a lifetime honing his skill and his craft and creating these absolutely powerful pictures, which we say this phrase a lot lately, but we need now more than ever as we continue the journey that is seemingly never ending in this country to hold all people in equal sway. and we will continue the fight as we all must do. But thank you for your contributions over these many, many decades. And I always like to start artist conversations with an early experience or one of the first touches with art. And as we were talking leading up to this, you asked if I'd seen the student exhibition across the hallway, and I made a beeline over there as soon as I walked in to see what young minds are thinking right now, and was blown away by the quality and the content, as you also noted, that it gives us faith in the future that high school kids are taking on really deep subject matters and not just pictures of cats, which are also great. Gotta love pictures of cats. But what was your first art making experience?
Well, I'm not sure it can be labeled art, but the first experience, I did a painting that was about 7 inches by 11, maybe roughly the size of typing paper. And I copied a painting that was in our living room that was about 36 inches. And the important facet to that is that I was about 8 years old or so. It wasn't a very good painting, but my mother had it framed. And that was an endorsement that, in hindsight, was very important. And from my point of view, I had entered a very positive side of the art world.
And to have that early encouragement, especially from your mom, is a big deal, because many moms see an artist coming and they're like, uh-oh, better start talking about law school. But that's very important when you have that encouragement. And another early encouragement that you had came in the form of a Scholastic gold pin. And not many people know this, but Andy Warhol also got a Scholastic pin. And it was literally one of the single most important things that ever happened to him in his life. And he valued that throughout his life. You wouldn't think that one of the most famous artists the world has ever known would even remember such a thing. But for him, it was that validation. And the same for his friend and roommate in New York, Philip Pearlstein, who won the national prize for the Scholastic Art Awards and ended up having this beautiful picture that he'd done of a carousel printed in Life magazine. So for young artists to get that level of attention is a very big deal. What was it like for you? And do you remember the artwork?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. It was a drawing of, well, I grew up in a housing project, and we lived on the second and third floor. And across the street was what we called shotgun houses. How many have heard that expression? One room after the other. And behind that was a pickle factory called Paramount. And that was my landscape. But at the time I did it, it was simply an available subject. I didn't think of it as special. I enjoyed it, and I never heard of the publisher that gave award. My high school teacher submitted my work, and Mrs. Waltham, and that led me to the University of Louisville. And,
And when you were in the University of Louisville, did you start studying art formally at that point, or did you do something else?
now that was part of the scholarship, was to major in art.
Amazing. Amazing. And, you know, Mr. Carter is from Louisville, Kentucky, born and raised, and also we're very happy to report that the Speed Museum of Art in Louisville, which is an absolutely phenomenal institution, is doing a major survey of your work to celebrate their 100-year anniversary as an institution, which that's a big deal when your hometown like holds you on that high to celebrate a milestone. But obviously Louisville has its problems, continues to have problems. You grew up there in an even more problematic time, growing up in the South during the Jim Crow era. How did that start affecting your art making, if at all, in those early years?
Well, there's certain things you accept as a pattern, and you don't get out of bed and decide that you want to protest. Life moves on in a acceptable manner. I was telling someone the other day that I'm one of the few people in the country that's been thrown out of White Castle. Louisville was Louisville was in the process of change, and some places you could go and some you couldn't. And a friend of mine and I, after football practice, as a matter of fact, decided to test them. And we got served, and it was asked, you buy, but you had to take it outside. And we got served, and we were told to leave. And not many people have that honor.
I would definitely consider that to be an honor. I still don't know why people like White Castle burgers, but I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing. So, after school, after your 4 years doing your BFA there in Louisville, at some point, obviously, New York must have become a beacon of light because you ended up at Pratt doing your MFA there. What was it about New York that called out to you?
The art, I'm not sure. The art that was around me at Pratt, well, originally, I had applied for Columbia. And Columbia felt that I'm lucky here, I'm getting old, that I should be committed to history, art history. And I was more interested in studio. So at the last minute, I decided to find another school. And Pratt had the profile that I thought was going to serve what I wanted more. But Columbia commented on my appraisal, and I took that very seriously. So that's how I wound up going to Pratt.
Well, Columbia's lost. I too had a similar experience at Columbia back when I was applying to PhD programs in art history. And I was in the 90s so bold as to want to study post-war Japanese art. And Professor Murase, who recently passed just a few months ago, was really the penultimate Japanese art history professor. Went to meet with her, and she said, I'm happy to work with you, but anything before 1857, then we talk. I wanted to do post-1945, and it was a non-negotiable. So I didn't end up going to Columbia. I went to Yale instead. But again, Columbia's lost. So, you obviously landed in the right place and in one of the most dynamic art programs in the country, and obviously at a time when there was a lot going on in society, a lot of things shifting and changing, and a lot of very prominent black artists making some really big moves in New York, whether it was Cinque Gallery, also Studio Museum in Harlem, and obviously with Studio Museum reopening this fall. And a lot of people don't know that Romare Bearden was one of the founders of Studio Museum as well, and was just so instrumental. I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to ask you, did you ever meet Romare?
Yes.
And what was that
Yes.
like?
We had him exhibiting on our campus. And the director of the gallery asked me would I like to meet Romare Bearden. Yeah. So we went to his studio and spent an afternoon partially planning this exhibit. And I got a chance to see his work style. He had files and files of images of eyes and noses, and it was his way of building an inventory from which he could use as for constructing his collages.
That is always so fun to think about how an artist keeps things organized. And obviously, as a collage-based artist, you needed to know where to go for the noses, or for the faces, or for the legs, or all the many myriad other things that Romare put into his work. But obviously, that must have been a really great early inspirational moment. And you too dedicated a great portion of your life to teaching, as did Romare. Romare cared so much about people. People also don't know that he was a social worker. And I mean, many do, but not enough do. That he was always thinking about how to take care of people in so many ways. And you ultimately found your way out here to Long Island and were a professor for many, many years at Nassau Community College. Mm-hmm. I understand one of your students is here today. Any more than one? Oh, we have a few. Okay. Amazing. What made you decide to teach?
I enjoyed it. It's really just that simple. I didn't teach because I had to. I taught because I enjoyed it. It enhanced my studio involvement. I would when I just thought of something connecting. When I retired, I wrote a quip. I explained this problem, and no one understood it. I explained it the second time, and no one understood it. I explained it the third time, and I understood it. That is a manner of saying it was a special experience for me as well. And I really think that it enhanced my involvement.
Oh, absolutely, because it's always a two-way street. It's a two-way dialogue. You learn as much from your students as they learn from you. And that's why I love teaching as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of your teachers and mentors was Charles White. And there's an incredible work back here on the far back wall on the left, on the maroon wall, that is an homage to him. What was that relationship like?
I really didn't meet him. No, I met him once, but he wasn't really a friend. I told the story of the time that I did meet him, and I tried to have a conversation, and I wound up quoting Jackie Gleason. Humana, 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 humana. I really admired him that much, and I was an adult when I met him, but I just felt that this was a terrific guy, and it was terrific my having the opportunity to know him.
So it was much more about you respecting his work and learning technique, style, maybe some content from afar. And speaking of content here, obviously spirituality is looming very large with angels flying over there. And obviously, formally, your works are so complex in terms of cut canvases, sculptural elements, and this incredible construction behind me that is incorporating so many different elements, including the light. And I think light also is something that really pops out for me in the work, whether it be your chiaroscuro effects on these paintings, but there's radiating light in almost every single one of them. And I would hazard to guess that it has something to do with faith and spirituality. But I just wanted to ask you what, if any, role that element of faith plays into your practice.
Well, church and spirituality was part of my growing up profile. I did a drawing that, as a sophomore, that was done in the process of learning lithograph. And the drawing won a local award, and the subject was Descent from the Cross. And it was important for me to do it at the time. To my knowledge, none of my peers did, but meaning other students at Pratt or other students at the University of Louisville. I don't remember anyone doing a religious painting, but I accumulated, as it happened, quite a few.
Yeah. And in the gallery next door, there's an image of a church lady, and we all know the power of church ladies, at least I do. But church ladies tend to be powerful and have to be navigated in life. But I wanted to note that there are a lot of very powerful women in these pictures, and for a man of your generation, that can be a rarity. So clearly, strong women have played a big role in your life, and I want to ask you about that. And also want to ask about this incredible work on the wall directly through that portal, which is an homage to your wife, who was clearly a divine figure and also a really phenomenal jewelry maker. Your daughter is wearing one of her pieces, and there are a few floating around. Do you want to show your arm? So we're clearly talking about a family of creatives here. But what about women in life? Why did you decide to paint so many in such strong, powerful ways? Powerful ways. And how did you decide to make strong women one of your subjects?
Well, I think it was Andy Warhol that said, after a review, said, well, man, we just walked in the snow and made tracks. The writers made the tracks important. So I think there's subissues or some involvements you have was a natural interest or an uncomplicated interest. It simply was, it seemed like a good thing to do at the time.
That makes total sense. Andy Warhol on that front, his mother was by far and away the most influential figure in his life. And Julia, his mom, was an artist, and she did incredible drawings of cats and angels. And if you go to the Warhol Museum, you will see many of those. And during the Great Depression and ensuing years, she made extra money by cutting up Campbell's soup cans, of all things, shockingly, and made these beautiful tin flower displays that she would then go door to door in the rich neighborhoods of Pittsburgh selling for a dime, a quarter, just to bring in some extra money. And not shockingly, Andy would go along with her and hide in the bushes and was watching Mom make art deals, basically on the front porch. But, right, and you don't think about how influential something like that can be for a young kid, but he learned how to make money from art very, very early on. Mm-hmm. And, I always just want people to know how important his mother was, but your mom was clearly important to you too, with that early encouragement of that early drawing. What did she think about you going to art school in the big city of New York?
Well, my father also was very, very encouraging. I think in hindsight, we find certain conversations, certain events, certain experiences are very special. At the time they happen, it seems very ordinary. You don't have angelic voices coming from heaven saying, "These are the words of wisdom you're sharing, my son." It seemed very natural at the time an event might be initiated, but it seems to, and at the time, be simply a natural flow, not
And that
not exceptional at all.
it makes total and complete sense. Now, obviously your subject matter is far-reaching. There's a work in the gallery around the corner to the far left of this far wall that I hope you all can go and see, and it very directly addresses stereotypes of Black folks in America, and this is something that you've done in several of your works over a long period of time, either addressing stereotype, even looking at the societal ill of blackface in American culture. How have you rectified taking on such a difficult subject matter and putting it out front and center so that the world has to face it and also deal with the harm that things like that did in the past?
Well, I'm not sure anything was rectified. It's recognized. It's very often our response is a question of timing. Up until about 3 years or 4 years before I graduated from high school, our high school sponsored a minstrel show. But when you look at the time, it wasn't considered a negative. In 1961, the National Conference of Artists was found. And it was called the National Conference of Negro Artists, made up of predominantly black colleges. In other words, various black faculty from traditionally black colleges were part of this group. And they used the term Negro as a part of its title. The next year it met, which was 62, 62, I believe, 61, 62, I'm not sure which. In any event, they dropped the word Negro, feeling it was a biased, unfair title. Had that same organization been formed about 3 years or 4 years after that, I would bet money it would have been titled Black. In other words, because of the timing, it wasn't part of the title. So that's a long way of saying, at the time, there wasn't an issue. Hattie McDaniels, one of the famous black performers of the 30s, 40s, was criticized for playing the maid so much. Her response to that was, well, I can make, and I don't know the exact amount, $30 a week as a maid, or I can work $3,000 a week being a maid, playing a maid. Which do you think I would do? I'm blanking on the lady's name, became a social worker. I'm trying to think of the black performer that was also in Gone with the Wind. Oh well, her famous line was, I don't know much about birthing babies. That was her line, in a big popular line in Gone with the Wind. I'm sorry?
Butterfly McQueen.
That was the name I was blocking on. It was so bad. For her, she left show business and became a social worker in Harlem. So 2 experiences. One, Hattie McDaniels just made it work for her. And yeah, she had to leave. And as I understand, she got a college degree, and she worked as a social worker.
Amazing. Now, your daughter brought a book. Do you want to pull that out from under the chair so we can show? But an artist that you looked at a lot, which might be unexpected to some folks, is the German artist Kata Kowitz. And obviously her work is very dark, very powerful. It's of a certain moment and a certain time. What about her work resonated with you?